Southeast is still part of Nigeria. Thank you, Lomba, for having me today on your
program. Let's talk about your campaign for building of seaports in Igboland using the public-private partnership model. How can you give us a background of this campaign?
In a nutshell, the campaign is about identifying potential sea, river, and stream ports in the Southeast, which we have identified, and then to leverage on the existing policy by the federal government of Nigeria, where they have a PPP arrangement, that is public-private partnership arrangement, to leverage on that, and then maybe campaign for the Southeast governors or Southeast investors to partner with the federal government of Nigeria in order to maybe build the seaport at the Southeast or complete the river port at Onitsha. So in a nutshell, that's what we're trying to achieve, trying to convince the leaders in the Southeast to buy into the project of maybe going to partnership with the federal government of Nigeria to develop the Onitsha river port.
Okay, and how far have you gone with this campaign?
Well, what I did, I've written letters to the MD of Nigerian Land Waterways Authority, Chief Dr. Mogalo. I'm still waiting for him to respond to the letter I wrote to him. I plan to write to Ohaneze Ndibo. I plan to write to, I think, Professor Osita, somebody, the chairman of Alibo Establishment Fund, a body convened by Ohaneze Ndibo. I hope to finish the letter by the end of the week. That's about where I've gone to now, but I'm also making some informal contacts with government officials in the Southeast to see whether they'll be able to buy into the idea before I do a formal letters to them.
Okay, so the campaign has not been formally launched?
It has not been formally launched because we took our time to do the researching about the potential seaport in the Southeast. And then after doing the researches, we produced a report, which again, I'm gonna share with you. Then the first thing we did was to contact the MD in Nigerian Land Waterways Authority, which is Chief Dr. George Mogalo.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the current economic reality in Nigeria. Do you think that it's possible for the government to invest in the Eastern region at this time?
Yes. If they can be convinced of what they're doing, why not? Yeah. Because I mean, having a seaport at the Southeast will open up the economy of the Southeast. Imagine where there's a river port functioning at Onitsha, that will open up the economy. That will bring in more investment. That will bring in create more opportunities for the youth at the Southeast. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Now, I'm asking this question in regards to the poor relations that the federal government have with the Southeast. You understand that the relationship between the federal government and the Southeast is not the best right now. That's why I'm asking, will the government be willing to go this far to open up the economic prospects of the Southeast with this idea?
Yes, because if you look at what I said before, I said the federal government has PPP arrangements in place, not the state government. So the aim of the campaign is to draw the attention of Southeast leaders to this facility in place, to the fact that there is PPP arrangements by the federal government of Nigeria, so that they can be able to leverage on this partnership and then begin to develop the Onitsha River Port. I mean, the arrangement is there by the federal government. Mind you that all the waterways, all the inland waterways are owned by the federal government of Nigeria. And the FGN Nigeria has this program in place. So why not?
Okay, remember that you can join us on the program by raising up your digital hand, and we will try to accommodate your questions and comments for Mr. Akuta here. Now, let's talk about the fact that we have existing airports that can help this region. Do you think that these airports can replace seaports for now before the state government buy into this idea?
Well, it depends on if the airports are functional. One, let me start by thanking the Anambra State government for building a good airport at Anambra State. I'm also of the belief that where there's a determination, where there's a way, there will be a way. I'm also believing that, well, the Southeast government will buy into the campaign we are making now. At best, I'm also hoping that even if the Southeast government fail to buy into the idea, I'm hoping that Anambra State government will be able to buy into the idea of maybe having a seaport at Onitsha because of its importance to the economy of Anambra in particular and the Southeast in general. So I'm optimistic that the campaign will work because, I mean, it's overdue. Having a seaport at the Southeast is overdue.
True. Now, the Lagos Seaport is one of the most functional seaports, and that's because most business headquarters are headquartered in Lagos. Do you think that if we have seaports in the eastern region, these businesses will likely move to the eastern region? Do you believe so?
Well, I believe so. And I also believe that the Igbos can be able to like leverage on the seaport, okay, for example, if there's a seaport at Onitsha, the Easterners or Igbos will leverage on that seaport to begin to develop the Southeast. Mind you, as we are speaking now, the Inland Waterways Authority had done a bit of a trial shipment from on a seaport to Onitsha River Port. Now they're trying to do the second phase, which is to send cargo from the Lagos port to Onitsha port. So that plan is in process now as we speak. So if they're able to like actualize that, that means there will be transshipment from Lagos port to Southeast. So everything is aimed to develop the economy of the Southeast. Mind you, over 60% of importers in Nigeria are done in the Southeast.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the challenge that you might have faced with this campaign. What challenges do you foresee, and what challenges have you faced already?
Well, the challenge I foresee is maybe lack of commitment on the part of leaders, maybe some personal differences that could crop up, and then the issue of funding, because I'm also looking at it's going to be a massive capital-intensive project. But on a flip side, I'm also encouraged by what Anambra State government did, by the fact that they built an airport at Anambra. That gives me courage that if they're determined to do something, they can be able to do that. Having said that, also, I'm also having a bit of thought in me that, okay, politics could play a role, or there could be issues here and there that could make them to drag their feet. But having said all these things, I'm very optimistic that they can be able to do that, leverage on that. But mind you, I'm not only campaigning or reciting my campaign to the governors or government. I'm also calling upon the businessmen at the Southeast. If you look at the flyer I produced, I said government and investors. So the campaign is double-edged. One, to the government. The second part is to the investors in the Southeast, maybe the businessmen in the Southeast, to leverage on this opportunity and be able to like invest.
Okay, now let's talk about the politics that may play a role in this campaign. The current political reality of Nigeria is very, very, very volatile. It looks like Nigeria is about to implode with the whole crisis. Do you think this is going to affect your campaign, especially with the presence of IPOB in the Southeast?
Well, to some extent, yes. To some extent, no. One is IPOB is doing their own campaign about self-determination or Biafra. That is their own campaign. What I'm doing, I'm campaigning for a Southeast Sea River or stream port at the Southeast. At best, let's develop Onitsha Sea River port so that ships or maybe containers can be coming from Lagos or from overseas, as the case may be. So because we are primarily traders, commerce-oriented, so I'm seeing the brighter future that look, if people or government or investors or Southeasterners can buy into this idea then they'll be able to make progress. So I'm not sure IPOB campaign will be able to hinder the campaign I'm making.
Okay, but the federal government can see it as you are asking for self-determination. Why should we invest in your region? Don't you think that can play a role?
Well, Southeast is still part of Nigeria.
Asking for self-determination.
Asking for self-determination doesn't mean that Southeast has seceded. Mind you, not everybody is buying into, seceding from Nigeria. Not every Igbo person is a member of IPOB. IPOB has the right to campaign for self-determination, which they are doing. It doesn't stop the federal government from doing anything. But look at what I told you initially, that the federal government has a plan in place. So what I'm actually doing is to call upon people to take up the process or the project. I'm calling on people to own the project. I'm not calling on federal government to come and build a seaport. I'm saying, all the campaign is saying is the Southeast leaders, government inclusive, or investors in the Southeast should leverage on this partnership arrangement in place to develop the seaports. So I'm not inviting the federal government, because I know if I'm calling upon the federal government, they will not be able to come. They might start giving you reasons and reasons. Remember that Onitsha River Port was started in 1983. So from 1983 to date, nearly 40 years, and it's still counting. So if you are relying on federal government or begging them to come and develop Onitsha River Port, it might take infinity. So that's why I'm trying to turn it a bit round to say, okay, look, because the federal government has given a green light, because the federal government has given a kind of PPP arrangement in place, we, the Igbos or the investors in Southeast, should cash into this opportunity and begin to develop or complete the river port on their own, instead of waiting for the federal government to come in and do the project, because they might bring in delay tactics or maybe tell you there's no fund or whatever. But when you go in based on their plan, based on their policy, I believe they'll be able to hasten the process or quicken the process, thereby making the Onitsha River Port a reality.
Okay, and how far have you gone with educating the public on this particular PPP model?
I didn't make it myself. PPP model is already there by the Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority, because I told you I did a bit of research before I began to campaign. This is like maybe the last stage of what we are doing to start campaigning or sensitizing people about the existence of this PPP arrangement. I didn't make the PPP arrangement. The federal government did that. Just like
I'm aware. That's why I'm asking how far have you gone in publicizing it?
That's part of what you are doing now. Giving me the chance to speak, to be able to tell people what we are doing. I've also produced flyers that will start going around, so that people are also, as I told you, I'm writing on harness officially to look at what is in existence now, whether they can be able to convince the Southeast governors into buying into this project. However, I'm not banking on them alone. I'm also hoping to reach out to investors to see if they can be able to buy into the idea of maybe coming to invest or develop the Onitsha River Port or any other port facility in the Southeast. Mind you, it's not only Onitsha that can be developed. There are also other places within the Southeast.
Okay, as a Nigerian in diaspora, how much do you think you can achieve considering that you are not in Nigeria?
Well, I don't need to be in Nigeria.
How much do you think you can achieve from the...
Well, I can achieve much. I don't see any limitations in what I can be able to achieve.
Okay, and how far have you gone?
I think our system is frozen.
Hello?
Yeah, I think our system is frozen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Daniel.
Yeah, okay. Let me ask this question. You said you have a report you present to in the course of this program? Or is it not yet time to show us what you have achieved so far? My guess would be that is where the interviewer is driving to, how far you have achieved, and then your report so far.
Well, I will send you a copy of my report on PDF.
Okay, I thought maybe you present it here for us to see. It's not possible.
I don't know. It's not on this particular system device I'm using now, but I'll send it to you after the interview.
No, all right. So can you enlighten us on what that report contains then?
Basically, just what I've been saying here. The report contains what we did. We were able to look into potential river and stream ports in the southeast, and we were able to identify about 5 or I think. Hello.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm hearing you.
Yes, we were able to identify about 4 to 5 places in the southeast that can be developed into either a seaport, river port, or a stream port. And then we're able to identify what I'm just saying now, the PPP arrangements in place. We're also able to identify that that the Inland Waterways Authority, they are trying to do a second test run that would let them ship containers from Lagos Seaport to Onitsha River Port. And then they've done one already from the Seaport to Onitsha River Port. So we're able to research into these things and then identify that. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see here. You go ahead.
Yeah, because there's a bit of noise in the background. So the report was able to identify all this, I'm telling you, like the locations we have in the southeast, like the Onitsha, Oguta, Azumiri, Amazu in Arochukwu, and also Ndibe at Ebonyi State or somewhere in Ebonyi. Yeah. So we're able to itemize 5 places that could be developed into either a seaport, either a river port, or a stream port. So we also identified that there are also places in other parts of the world that are like the southeast, like Germany. One of their river ports is just similar to what is happening at Onitsha. So, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So what I would do after the interview would be to send you a copy of the PDF. I thought I sent it to you initially, but
please go ahead. We're hearing you.
Yeah, what I'm saying is after the interview, I will send you a copy of the report which we produce.
Okay, and remember that you can join in the discussion simply by raising up your digital hand, and I will try to accommodate I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as I can. I apologize for the break in transmission. My network logged me out, so I had to come back. We have been discussing Igboland economic prospects for building seaports in Eastern Nigeria, and we are discussing with the guest. He's an economist, a media practitioner, and author. He is also the convener of Southeast Sea, River, and Stream Port Association, Mr. Chinedu Vincent Akuta. Now, let's talk about the economic prospects. We know that this is going to help businessmen, but can you go in depth and tell us how this is actually going to help them?
Well, through commerce, it is going to help them. It is going to aid importation and exportation. Imagine where you import directly from maybe China to Onitsha. That's going to cut costs instead of importing through Lagos. Or let's rephrase it this way. Imagine where you transship from Lagos to Onitsha, then bypass traveling by road. That means the cost of shipping from Lagos or transloading from Lagos to Onitsha will be saved. The stress of driving from Lagos down to Onitsha or down to Aba or any part of the southeast will be circumvented. So the benefits are enormous. It's easier for you. It's gonna be cheaper if you are shipping from China to Onitsha, or shipping from let's say Europe to Onitsha, than shipping to Lagos and then transporting the containers on the trailer, on the trucks that will not go from Lagos down to any parts of the southeast.
Okay, now with this PPP model you have been talking about, if investors actually buy into this idea and contribute to build this port, who gives the port the license to operate? The federal government, or it's going to be a privately owned property?
Well, it's gonna be a discussion between the investors and the federal government. It's gonna be a matter of ownership structure. It's gonna be a matter of how much the federal government is willing to commit, and it's gonna be a function of how much the investors are willing to invest. It could be in the neighborhood of, I don't know, maybe 50-40 or 50 or maybe 30-30-40 arrangement. It depends on whatever they come up with.
Okay, and who is going to have, okay, so this is going to also affect the managing rights, because I'm asking this because we know that there are some ports, about 6 ports in Nigeria currently, and their functionality is still debatable. Yeah. So who is going to hold responsibility for this if a seaport is built in Eastern Nigeria?
Well, don't forget that the federal government owns all the waterways in Nigeria, as we are speaking now. And as we're speaking now, most of the ports in Nigeria, like you said, has also been concessioned. I don't know the arrangement for that. But to answer you, I think it's going to be a modality that will be worked out within the federal government and the investors. The federal government will also have a share because they control the waterways. So I wouldn't be able to.
Prince Will, go ahead, please.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you, the speaker. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it from the point of view of the federal government. If you are the federal government, or if you are the president of Nigeria, and looking at what is happening in Nigeria for now, public-private partnership is very, very good. It's a very, very good way of, building infrastructure, hand it over to the government. But looking at this agitation all over the Southeast, don't you think the government will look at it from a security point of view that this is just an easy way to allow the Easterners to just bring in ammunition directly from any part of the world? That's just my question.
No, I don't see it that way. Because if you're talking about ammunition, people smuggle arms from all over the country. There are arms all over now as we speak now. So I don't even see that. I don't even look at that from maybe federal government to stop that from functioning or not. After all, federal government gave Anambra State license to build airports. That is not even long ago. It happened this year. Even with agitation from IPOB, federal government gave them license to build airports. I also believe that federal government of Nigeria will be able to agree with the PPP arrangement. Do not forget, I said here, do not forget that according to the DG of Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority, Chief Mogalo, and he said, I'm trying to quote him, but I'm paraphrasing here now. He said they've done the first trial shipment, test run from on a seaport to Onitsha River Port and back to on a seaport. That means that they carried containers in batches from Onitsha to on a seaport and back. Now they're trying to do second phase test run, whereby they will ship containers from Onitsha to Lagos Port and from Lagos Port back to Onitsha. So there's a process in place as we speak now. So even with the agitation for self-determination by IPOB, the federal government of Nigeria is also working, but the pace of their work is quite slow, if you ask me.
Okay, let's take the next hand, Mr. Wankwo Igwe. The platform is yours. Go ahead, please. Mr. Wankwo.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a very nice topic which needs some technical knowledge to advance. You see, like we who are in the profession, professional historian, because we are doing the history of Nigeria, you have also do about the maritime history, because it was through the sea that Nigeria was actually conquered. So you look at the development of the ports. Lagos Port was even the least. Then earlier, the first port was Forcados. Those traveling from UK coming to Lagos will first of all disembark in Forcados before they are now transloaded for Lagos. After Forcados, then you have Bonny, then you also have you have Calabar. Before Lagos came up, the development of Lagos Airport was of recent, maybe because of the proximity after the transfer of the capital, or of the southern capital from Calabar to Lagos. The colonial government decided to concentrate on the development of Lagos port at the expense of the other ports. But then we have been following the progress of this issue of inland port, seaport in Igboland. We have to call it inland port, not actually seaport. You've mentioned 3 outlets now. On each outlet, 1 through River Niger. You now have Azumini, that is through Opobo, Imo River. Absolutely. They also talk about the Arochukwu. We are not talking of Enyong River into Cross River. Absolutely. From Enyong River, which connects Arochukwu into Cross River. These are serious capital investments that the end benefits will not be there, considering the long process of their construction. And we've been following the Onitsha, especially the inland Onitsha port. There are problems. Number 1, River Niger is a seasonal river. Even at the height of its period, at the height of its flooding, it's not every vessel that can pass through. There are a lot of vessels that have to, embark at the high sea. They have to be transported, have to be transloaded. So there's that limitation. And given the fact that over 60% of the containers being uploaded in Apapa, in Apapa port are owned by Igbo people.
Yes.
Yes. It will not be possible for them to decide to now shift the use or the exploitation process to Onitsha for obvious reasons. I'll tell you one. The extra transportation from Lagos, I'm not telling you about research, from Lagos through sea to Onitsha port is 3 times costlier than the use of trucks to transport a container from Apapa to Onitsha. So most traders prefer using trucks to come to Onitsha. It's also quicker. You take a truck, takes your container today from Lagos, takes it in the morning, in the morning of the first day. The second day is at Onitsha. It's at Onitsha. Even you look at Port Harcourt port, which is being utilized mainly by Aba traders, is still underutilized. That underutilization also made it possible for most of the containers being uploaded at Ariara market to come by truck direct from Apapa. Because if you look at it, the investigation, you discover that even people in Port Harcourt, we normally, we ask the question, why is it that Port Harcourt is a port? But then people in Port Harcourt will go to Aba to buy things for retail in Port Harcourt. You see the problem. It's not that, it's not that, in fact, it's not the nearer to the port makes things costly, but it's the entrepot that determines. So far, Port Harcourt has not been utilized because of first, the market outlets. The Apapa port gives the Igbo importer a vista of spaces to export to the east, to export to the north, to the west. That is why most of them prefer. So that is underutilization. One, that's been retarding this idea of increasing the developing a functional inland port, even on Onitsha. Secondly, is the cost, the traders, the businessmen in particular, because they look at the cost effectiveness of any transaction. That is what they are concerned. They're not talking about business is not all about patriotism. It is your profit first. If you are telling an Igbo businessman, oh, Onitsha is our port, he will first of all calculate his profit and loss through the use of that. So that is That is one of the problems. So there are three factors there. One, the instability of the Niger, as the Niger, apart from not being a deep river, it's also seasonal. During the dry season, you could see this, the river bed very high, so ships cannot pass. Secondly, you also have the issue of cost effectiveness by the businessmen, who will also prefer that Lagos using transportation is quicker. Using Seaport, using ship from Lagos, Apapa Port to Onitsha, will take you about 3 days. You can see these are the problems. And then the cost of construction, which is again, issue of investment. Any investor will look at the end profit. If you're investing on a port project, you first of all cite how many people will utilize it. Because it's the number of customers, the number of users that will determine the tax or the levy that will be imposed on them, and that will also determine your profit. So I don't know if your report actually looked into these factors, these variables into consideration before your campaign.
Yes, I agree with what you said here. If you remember what I said initially, I said the Inland Waterways Authority, they've done a test run whereby there will be a patch that will leave Onitsha to One. I said there before, and then on it back to Onitsha. And they're trying to do a second test run whereby there will be a lighter band that will go from Onitsha to Lagos and back to Onitsha. Well, I'm saying that in respect of what you said about the seasonal nature of Onitsha River Port. And mind you, the river port hasn't been dredged. That means larger vessels will not be able to come to Onitsha, which I agree with you. And then that was why, again, that's in line with what the Inland Waterways Authority did, to bring a lighter barge that would maybe move containers from Lagos to Onitsha. I said it here before we began to I don't know whether you were here when I said that. So in effect, what you said was right. The bigger ships can't be able to come to Onitsha as we speak now. Maybe in future, they could do when Onitsha River is dredged or whatever. Now, back to the issue of, second issue you mentioned there was the issue of cost. Now, there hasn't been a tabulated figure about shipping from Lagos to Onitsha now via container. It hasn't been popularized as we speak now. So one can't be able to compare the cost of shipping from Lagos to Onitsha, but rather what we have now is road transport from Lagos to Onitsha or southeast by trucks. So because there hasn't been the route hasn't been popularized, maybe there hasn't been more ships or more batches going from Lagos to Onitsha. So you won't be able to have a good comparison on the issue of pricing. But for now, the land transport might be more lucrative because the river means or river transportation hasn't been improved, hasn't been regular, hasn't been going as we speak. Remember I said here that the chairman of Inland Waterways Authority, Chief Dr. Morgan, said they will do a test. So which means it hasn't been working. So there's no price. We can't be able to say that this is the price of shipping from Lagos to Onitsha or to anywhere. But until it has been popularized and made navigable, then that's when we now begin to see the price difference. But again, going by what is happening along the road now from Lagos to Onitsha, seeing the bad roads and falling off of the trucks and containers along the way, then it might be better in the long run, if things are done properly, to begin to consider to do the shipping, the sea route or the river route back down to Onitsha, to Enugu, to maybe Aba and other places. Again, we made mention of Azumiri. Azumiri hasn't been developed. So the whole point of making the campaign is for the private investors. I'm not talking about government here, remember, it's for the private investors to consider to come in and invest and see if they can be able to develop the seaport based on the government plans, based on the government PPP arrangement. Here, my point is very clear. My campaign is very clear. Could investors or Southeast government consider to invest their money either at Onitsha or at Uguta Lake or Azumiri or Amasu at Arochukwu? Any of the facilities can be developed in the long run. It could be a work in progress. Maybe after all, Ibom Seaport project is being done by Akwa Ibom State. So all these things are around the corner. So why not? If the government can do that, then the investors can be able to take up the challenge. That's the primary reason of the campaign that we are embarking upon now. So I pretty much agree with what you said here about the cost effectiveness or the other issues you raise here, like the nature, seasonal water level and things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ike Uzochukwu, your hand is up. The platform is yours.
Yeah,
Ike
good evening.
Uzochukwu.
Yeah, good
Evening.
evening.
You can hear you. Go ahead,
Is it
please.
clear?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is
Yes, please go ahead.
Ike Uzochukwu. I teach in the I teach in Nnamdi Azikiwe University.
Oh, that's my university.
I actually teach logistics and supply chain management.
Okay. All right.
At the graduate level. So as soon as I saw your link, I was excited. I thank you for this opportunity and for the discussion that is ongoing.
Yeah.
I want to make a few points. The first thing we need to know and remember is that transportation generally is a key driver in development of any society. It actually contributes about 20% to development. So if you are talking about developing Anambra or developing the Southeast, one of the key parameters, one of the key things you need to do is to work on the transportation system. There are basically about 4 of them: the waterways, the railways, the road, and then the airways. Now we are discussing the waterways. It is very important to note also that you cannot generalize when you talk about cost. You cannot generalize. There is what we call total cost equation. For any mode of transportation you want to use, you need to do a calculation that is called total cost equation. And that total cost is dependent on the type of commodity you are moving. For some people, it may be far cheaper to move through the waterway into Onitsha waterway or port. For some people who carry certain goods, maybe that are what we call fluffy, not very dense. For some other people, it may be cheaper to move by road. For some other people, it may be cheaper to move by rail. So what correct planners of an economy do is, first of all, to look at all these 4, what we call mode of transportation, and try to improve them one by one, so that each individual business or small, medium enterprise, all that, will now be determining which of the mode of transportation is suitable for the logistics of his products, whether from Lagos or from any part of the world, or even from China. You may discover that to move from China to Onitsha may be far cheaper than moving from, in fact, that is the reality on ground. To move from China to Onitsha, assuming that this water port is concluded, to move from China to Onitsha will be far cheaper than moving from China to Apapa and then to Onitsha through the road. Far cheaper, far cheaper. So, and most businessmen will go in that direction. So I want us not to look at it just peripherally. There are a lot of issues and research work that can be done in order to streamline some of these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ike, Mr. Ike. Mr. Kuta, do you want to react to that comment?
Well, I pretty much agree with what he said. He made a very good point. He made a valid point in his submission. I agree with what he said. Yeah, some goods are better transported through the waterway. Some are better transported through the land means. Yeah, I agree with what he said. Yeah. But the waterways will complement the land.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Okay, I'm sorry, my video is switched off. There is no power, so you will not be able to see me. That's why I switched to my picture instead. Remember that you can join the discussion simply by raising up your digital hand, and we will try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Now, Mr. Kuta, how far does this Eastern Seaport controversy support the argument for restructuring? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, but I think there are two different things here. The seaports and the restructuring, there are two different things here. For me, one is about economic activity. One is in the plan already by the federal government of Nigeria. Like I said here, they are doing some work at the Onitsha River Port, but the pace is so slow. And then, in fact, why I even came up with this idea is because I felt the pace of the work there is so slow. The project was begun in 1983. Up until now, they're still working at the river port. So I also believe that there's need to inject private hand or private investors through the PPP arrangement. Now, that's the first thing altogether. It's not about changing the constitution of Nigeria, maybe devolving powers to the regions. So to me, these are two different entities. Hello?
I'm sorry. It seems my network is misbehaving, so that's why it keeps breaking up. But I can hear you. Mr. Wankwa, your hand is still up. Are you trying to speak again? Yes. Or is it your previous comment?
No, I want to speak on this issue of restructuring and this inland portaways. Yes, I tend to disagree with him.
Please go ahead then.
I tend to disagree with him that they are not interconnected. They are very well interconnected because restructuring actually will bring about competition. In fact, I believe that if there's restructuring today, that inland port waterways will even be effectively developed. Because the point is that the people now will see, you see, it becomes competitive when you have several ports. Apapa Port under Western, either Oduduwa State or Western Independent Western Region being run by them, Calabar Port and other ones. Competition will set in there. Because I will bet you that just as in the case of Enugu Airport, when Ethiopian Airways started flying to Enugu Airport, you find that because Ethiopian Airways discovered that many of her customers are from the east, so they decided to utilize the Enugu route. You find that they gain from it because many Igbo people who should have liked to transport their goods, who often arrived at Lagos from Dubai or from anywhere, they now prefer to come to Enugu Airport. First, Enugu Airport is not as crowded. It's not as do I say? I don't know. Let me just not be too sentimental, but there's a kind of homeliness when you arrive at Enugu Airport than when you are in Murtala Mohammed Airport. So in the same way, under restructuring, there will be much investment on the east. First, the people, we know that there are a lot of anomalies in clearing of goods in Apapa today. Most of them being dominated by one set of people. In fact, the management of the ports today are dominated by those whose indigenous even import less than 1% of the goods, of Nigerian importation. And they decide what cost other people will pay. And I believe when they are structuring and independent people are managing, the people, the region in charge of Onitsha Inland Port, or the region, the southeast region, might decide to present better condition for the importers. And through that patriotic efforts, customers, more people will now prefer to come there for their own what? For their own importation and exportation. I give you an instance. When I was in Togo, Togo is a free port zone. When I was in Togo, I discovered that a lot of people from Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire prefer to utilize Lomé Port instead of Abidjan and Accra because of cost effectiveness and the duty imposed. They discovered that you see, when they calculate the duties, the high duties in Accra and Abidjan, and compared with the cost of haulage from Lomé to their part, you find that Lomé home becomes cost effective for them. So that sense will apply when there is restructuring. It depends now. The question of federal government determining when to dredge or whether to dredge or not, it now becomes incumbent on the new managers to know that this is the life wire of our economy and we have to do it. For now, it is a freelancer affair. It does not concern the federal government, and that is why you're campaigning. When the time comes, you don't need to campaign. The administrators will know that it's incumbent on them for the sustenance of the economy to do that. That is why they are interconnected. Thank you very much.
Well, I don't have
Thank
to.
you so
I don't
much.
have to.
Let's hear from.
Okay. Do I have the floor now to speak?
Yes.
No, go on. Yes, you do. Go on.
Yes. I don't have to dispute what the last speaker has said, because one, I wouldn't know what will happen in the long run or in future. I don't know whether the government of Nigeria will agree to restructure. I don't know. That is we are hoping that will happen. But before that happens, nobody knows when it will happen. We all are praying for that to happen. We are praying for the best for Nigeria to happen. Let powers be devolved. But before that happens, that's why I'm saying that we don't have to fold our hands and wait till Nigeria is restructured or wait till maybe anything happens. The time to start is now, to start the process, or to start to look into the PPP. Again, don't forget that this second Niger bridge before they started building the second Niger bridge, it was touted that it's going to be on PPP arrangement. I did an article on that back in the days. So it's already something that has been in practice, or maybe has been floated around. So for me, my own idea or my own views will be, time is now, if there are willing investors in the Southeast, to begin to look into how to either join the federal government to develop or complete Onitsha Seaport, instead of waiting for maybe when we restructure Nigeria, which we don't know when it will happen. But I pray, is my prayer for Nigeria to be structured, but I don't know when it will happen because of the politics involved.
Okay, just before we let you go, sir, any last words you want to let us know, because the time is fast spent?
Well, then what I want us to know is possible for us to engage the federal government based on the arrangements they have in place. The only concern now is for us to have that mindset, have that willpower, have that unity in the Southeast, either political leadership or within the Southeast investors, to begin to look into these projects, be able to approach the federal government to see if it can be worked out, or if there can be a way of the investors maybe going into the Onitsha River Port, and then maybe investing and developing the river port, so as to make the economy of the Southeast to open up a bit wider, then with all the other benefit that accrue to that. So I'm optimistic. I'm also using this opportunity to speak to people that are willing to join the campaign, to come around, so that we can be able to begin to build a critical mass that will begin to propagate these ideas. Okay, let us try this option. Let us be able to go in. Let the investors be able to go in the way Anambra State government has built their airports, the way Imo State government built their own airports. We can also begin to think in that way, even though it's not proper. Then we can begin to be able to pull resources together, develop the seaports, so as to complement both the land transport, the air transport, and then maybe the rail transport to be built in future. Yeah, it's doable. And yes, we can.
Okay, right. Thank you so much. We have been discussing Igboland economic prospects for building a seaport in Eastern Nigeria. And special thanks to our guest, Mr. Chinedu Vincent Akuta. He is an economist, a media practitioner, and author. He's also the convener of Southeast Sea River and Stream Port Association. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Elomba, for having me.
And remember to follow. You're welcome. Remember to follow Elumba Television on all social media platforms. Now, this video was recorded and streamed live to Facebook and YouTube. So if you want a recording of it, kindly go